Two states of the once war-torn Yugoslavia are now on their own. They are rebuilding and putting down the welcome mat for international visitors. The Seasoned Traveler explores Bosnia and Croatia next.
The Seasoned Traveler is funded by the Grand Circle family of worldwide travel companies.
Let it go!
Grand Circle Travel, 47 years providing international travel, adventure, and discovery for mature Americans.
Hello everyone, I'm George Bauer. The 1990s civil conflict, which led to the implosion of Yugoslavia, left Bosnia-Hercegovina in tatters and Croatia badly bruised. Both new countries have moved on, although it's been a tough road for Bosnia, less painful for Croatia. In fact, with all of its natural assets, the future of Croatia looks rosy indeed. So, that's where I'll begin this journey.
Croatia is roughly the size of the U.S. state of West Virginia and home to 4.5 million people. Perhaps its signature feature is this: the dramatic and extensive coastline, extending 1,100 miles or 1,777 kilometers. And when you add in the 1,185 islands offshore, Croatia's coastline actually triples. This is truly a magnificent place. Barbara Bedenk is once again my guide to these countries, and what a place to begin. Opatija. It's called the Nice of the Adriatic. It is one of the most popular tourist destinations in all of Croatia, one of the oldest resorts on the eastern coast of the Adriatic. The Croatian Riviera extends some 8 miles or 12 kilometers, and there's a convincing slogan about this region: it's everything the French Riviera has at half the price. Benedictine monks came here hundreds of years ago and built a monastery, St. James. The word Opatija means abbey in Croatian. After the monks, the non-religious followed in ever-increasing waves. In 1884, Villa Angiolina was built. Villa Amalia was next. Then the Hotel Gvarner was constructed. Guests have come to this lush seafront town ever since, and they've loved every minute of it. Among them, ballet dancer Isadora Duncan. There are several hotels and other accommodations all along the coast. The maiden with the seagull has been a symbol of Opatija since 1956. She's also known as the greeting to the sea, and I enjoyed clambering out on the rocks for a closer look. Now, healthy seasoned travelers can walk the promenade from end to end. There are shopping stalls to punctuate your journey and help you part with some of your money. And when you've done enough walking, you can swim in the Adriatic. It's cold when you first hit the water, but refreshing after that. And the salt water will keep you afloat. I really liked it. At the northern end of Opatija's Riviera, the town of Veloško is more about fishing and boating than it is about swimming or sightseeing. That's what's so charming about Veloško. It doesn't look like a tourist town. You can almost imagine the town is in a time warp back in the 1930s or 40s. Healthy hikers can reach Veloško from Opatija in about 30 minutes, or it's a 10-minute ride. While Americans are just now discovering towns like this, Western Europeans have known the joys of this area for decades.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful place.
It's a lovely coastline. We've been to Lake Bled in Slovenia, and that is absolutely gorgeous.
David and Barbara Brooke say many friends back home are nervous about their coming here, thinking Croatia is still at war. David's answer is simple.
I should tell them not to be so foolish and go and enjoy the place.
Seeing these towns may make you fall in love with this region.
The very first time I came here, I said, this is where I belong. I felt it in my soul. It's where I belong. I love it here.
That's what happened to Danny Moreno. Her husband Rick was born in Croatia but grew up in the United States. On a visit to Veloško, she fell for the town, and they decided to sell their home in Los Angeles and move here permanently. They bought this house, high on a cliffside, with a priceless view of the Adriatic, and they've been restoring it. I met Rick on the main street of the town, and he invited me to come and have a look at the work in progress.
We chose this room for our bedroom because it's cozy and bright, and we installed skylights, and you can see the church steeples through there. It turned out to be a really nice space. It's a wonderful, welcoming country. Even though I don't speak the language, people have been so kind to me. And neighbors who don't speak English, older neighbors, hug me and kiss me all the time. And the young people all speak English.
We meet people and I listen to English. I said, everybody that speaks English approaches them. Can I help you? Do you need anything? And people say, oh, you've been so wonderful and treated us so kindly. What can I send you back? And I said, just send me a postcard, but I would like for you to tell 10 more people how wonderful it is here.
Now to someplace really special. Kirk is one of the most northern islands of the Mediterranean Adriatic. It's replete with jagged coasts, bays and inlets, beaches and rocks, and a dozen villages. In some places, the powerful north wind called the Boro has literally torn the vegetation from the rocks, leaving nothing but stone. The bridge, built in 1980, is the gateway to Kirk. The only other way is by boat. I'm destined for the little island of Košlin in Punit Bay. So, that's an island off Croatia. Now, to get to Košlin, one rides a motorized boat. On the island, there's a sense of peace, at least when travelers are not here. The Franciscan monastery, formerly a Benedictine abbey, is quiet and quaint. Monks still live and work here, tending gardens and harvesting olives. After an hour, the motorboat takes tourists back to Kirk proper. There are fertile areas around the town of Dubrovnik where grapes are grown and wine is produced. The town itself is a compact little community with what it says is a unique claim to fame. The locals call this the narrowest street in the world. Barbara can fit through. See if you can too. Dubrovnik is also a place for exquisite seafood and homemade pasta. I found some seasoned travelers enjoying both the food and the drink at a local restaurant, owned by a family which also produces several varieties of wine.
What do you think of the wine of Kirk?
It is fantastic.
What did you like best?
I think I like this dessert wine the best.
What did you like? You like the white wine? Yeah? And a couple of glasses of wine and you're having a good time.
Cheers.
We only use local grape varieties. So you won't find here Cabernet, Chardonnay, and similar types of grape varieties. But you'll find Žlahtina, which is a local type of wine. Then you'll find Brajdica, which is another red type of grape. And we produce also Prošek, which is a sweet wine, but we use the same grape variety as for the white wine.
There's plenty of beach on Kirk Island, both sand and pebbles. At Baška Beach, Barbara and I decided to take a break and actually drive on the water. Our normal driver, Tonči Jakovčičić, got a chance to relax and leave the driving to us.
Okay, so we can go all the way to the end here. Are you all having fun in the back? At our expense?
Another day and another wonder. I'm heading west from Opatija to the Istrian Peninsula, partly in Croatia, partly in Slovenia. The Croatian portion is the largest peninsula in the country. It's considered one of Croatia's most popular seaside resorts. It's a place where Slavic, Roman, and Germanic cultures all intermingle gracefully. There's still a strong Italian influence here, and in several places people speak both languages. Some towns are named in Croat and Italian. It's a delightful place. The city of Rovinj on the western side of the peninsula has a dramatic harbor and marina, along with red-roofed houses. But the crowning achievement is the magnificent Church of St. Euphemia, with a typical Venetian bell tower and a figure of St. Euphemia at the top. The remains of the saint are said to lie within a sarcophagus here. Legend has it the sarcophagus floated out to sea from Constantinople, where she was buried first and then washed ashore here in 800 AD. Now today, the town lures writers, artists, musicians, tourists, and shoppers. The outdoor market is a real treat. Barbara showed me some local cheeses made with cow and goat's milk. They were all good, but the one laced with truffles was far and away the winner. At the southern tip of the peninsula, the Roman town of Pula and its imposing Colosseum. This was once the 6th largest Roman amphitheater in the entire empire. There are no gladiators now, but there is plenty of history and folklore. Groups tour the floor of the Colosseum, as well as exhibits below ground. Pula's pavilion now hosts concerts and other artistic events. Performers here have included Luciano Pavarotti and Andrea Bocelli. After a day on Istria, it's time to return to the mainland and then drive south along the breathtaking Croatian coast. But don't rush your drive. Enjoy the mountains, the cliffs, islands, bridges, and beaches. Midway down the coast brings you to Split, wedged between a mountain range and a palm tree-lined waterfront. Split has Roman ruins, many museums, and incredible beauty. Today's Old Town was the summer residence of the Roman Emperor Diocletian. The heart of this city lies within the very walls of his 3rd century palace. He achieved a brilliant career as a soldier and became emperor at the age of 40. In 295, he ordered this vast palace to be built in his native Dalmatia. When this masterpiece was finished, he stepped down from the throne and retired to his homeland. When he died, he was laid to rest in a mausoleum within the palace walls. That became the Cathedral of St. Dominius in the 7th century AD. It is said to be the oldest and the smallest cathedral anywhere. It sure looks that way once you get inside. If you're healthy enough, climb the bell tower, built in stages between the 12th and the 16th centuries. Continuing along the Croatian coastline, there's never-ending beauty and another Riviera. This one's called Makarska. But before I travel south, I'm taking a left turn, traveling east to the embattled town of Mostar, Bosnia-Hercegovina. Mostar's roots run to Greek and Roman times. In the 15th century, residents built a bridge over the Neretva River. It was wooden, hung on chains. Guards were recruited to protect the span. They were called Mostari. Historians think that's how the town got its name. The Turks invaded around 1467, changing the culture of the community. In 1566, the wooden structure was replaced by the old stone bridge. Turkish domination ebbed in the 17th century as other ethnic groups moved in. There was peace and harmony within the diversity. That is, until late in 1993.
So what happened late in the afternoon on the 9th of November, 1993?
1993 in the late afternoon on November happens really something terrible for Mostarians. Our symbol of Mostar, of BIH, has been destroyed by the nationalists, it would be better to say, or paramilitary forces of Croatia.
And they were up on the hills?
Yes, they were up on the hills, but especially from the hill here on our right side and a small valley here on the left side. They have destroyed by tank shells.
The war went on here for 8 months, then the war ended, and fortunately people got together to rebuild the bridge.
Yes, fortunately people get together, the people from Mostar, the government and of BIH, Bosnia-Hercegovina, and municipality of Mostar took decision to reconstruct the bridge. But thanks to World Bank, thanks to UNESCO, thanks to Turkish government, thanks to German government, Italian, and all other governments. But I would not forget, of course, the Croatian government who was involved as well in this beautiful project of reconstruction.
The fighting lasted for 8 months. Some 3,000 people died. Thousands fled Mostar. 5,000 buildings were destroyed. After the war, an international effort began to rebuild the old bridge, and on July 23, 2004, the work was finished. The bridge was dedicated. Today, Mostaris still maintain the bridge, but they also do something else.
I know how high up it is, I know how deep it is, and you've done this 100 times, maybe 1,000 times, but do you think about anything when you're jumping, or do you just go?
No, you need concentration before the jump, or else you might get yourself killed.
Really?
Yeah.
Tourists generally pay the men to jump, and the spectacle takes place several times each day. Each summer, Mostar hosts an international bridge diving and jumping competition. At the end of 2005, the bridge joined an elite list. It is now one of UNESCO's protected World Heritage Sites. Officials hope there'll be no more wars here, no future destruction of this remarkable span across the Nevetva River. Despite the destruction, Mostar is seeing more visitors from other nations. They come to the Old Town, a cross between Eastern Europe and Turkey. Muslims, Christians, and Jews live in peace at the moment, but they remain in separate neighborhoods. There are 24 mosques in Mostar, several Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches, and a synagogue. Mostar needs time to heal and rebuild fully, but with its restored bridge in place, the city is a worthwhile stop for seasoned travelers. Now back in Croatia, and what many say is the most spectacular spot in the country, the walled city of Dubrovnik. The southernmost large community in Croatia has been dubbed one of the world's most beautiful fortified cities. Mighty fortress towers and seemingly impregnable stone ramparts curve around the tiny harbor, meant to protect Dubrovnik from attack. But none of it stopped the Serbs and Montenegrins for 8 months during the war.
Dubrovnik was very bad damaged. We special people who stayed here were without water, without electricity.
The locals have restored Dubrovnik to its classic timeless beauty with the help of many international organizations. The old town is the center of attention.
This is the Stradun, the main thoroughfare of the old town, pulsating with history, architecture, fine shops, and lots of people. There's something else about the Stradun. These stones are so old and slippery that if you're wearing the right shoes, this is how you can get yourself down the Stradun. You can slide from end to end.
At one side of the main square, there's the 18th century Baroque church of St. Blaise, the patron saint of this city. A block away, the cathedral is dedicated to the Assumption of the Virgin. It is small and simple, but houses many treasures, including some said to belong to St. Blaise himself.
No trip to Dubrovnik is complete without walking around the city walls. Now, it takes about an hour or an hour and a half to make the circuit. If you're older or less fit, it might take you a bit longer. But if you can, take the walk.
Dubrovnik was founded in the early 7th century. There were 2 settlements across a channel from each other. In the 12th century, the channel was filled in, creating the Stradun and a single town. Through the centuries, Dubrovnik tried to fend off invading Turks, Venetians, Serbs, and Montenegrins. In 1815, the city was made part of Austria, and in 1918 it became part of the Kingdom of the Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. After World War II, Dubrovnik became part of Yugoslavia. Dubrovnik is derived from the Croatian word Dubrava, which means oak woods. They once surrounded the city. Dubrovnik was a trendsetter. It introduced the first medical service in 1301 and the first monastic pharmacy in Europe back in 1317. A modern pharmacy operates on the site today. Dubrovnik was also a meeting place for painters, poets, and other writers. Their work is remembered each year during the Dubrovnik Summer Festival, with music, theater, and dance performances. Western Europeans have loved this city for years. British royalty has visited. Author George Bernard Shaw was enchanted by the place. He called it the jewel of the Adriatic. Now, tourism is thriving again, and Dubrovnik may be a victim of its own success. It can be overrun with guests, especially when several cruise ships tie up near the tiny harbor. Old Town is packed in July and August, but the city says it has a plan to ease the crush.
Our aim is to spread the season all the year round, so we have enough capacities, and high season, peak season is not important anymore to us. So we want to have tourists all the year round, because we are not only sun and sea destination, we are a destination which offers cultural heritage, cultural programs, more other facilities. So we think that people can come here from January to December, and we can spread the tourists all the months.
And that may work out just fine, because it can be very hot and steamy in summer. Winters are mild, with temperatures in the 50s Fahrenheit, from 10 to 15 degrees centigrade. You might be more comfortable here in the cooler months, and you'll probably have fewer crowds to contend with. Many visitors say if you see Croatia once, you will come back again. Muriel Chusid and her husband have been driving through the country on their own for 2 weeks. Neither speaks a word of the local language.
I compare it almost to Turkey in the sense of it's unexpected what you see. Visually, it's beautiful. Visually, it's beautiful. I didn't think culturally, like we have in the city of New York, that it's all here. But visually, the place is magnificent and the people are beautiful. We haven't met any Americans. This is the first time we have not met any Americans, except you, on our trip. And we're fascinated with that, by the way.
In Croatia, fresh seafood. After all, you're on the water. Now, I tried the sea eggs in Veloško with great anticipation. Well, they're downright nasty. Now, given the Italian influence, risotto and pasta dishes are fine too. Wine. Zinfandel grapes were created in Croatia, even though the Italians deny it. Wine is wonderful and it's inexpensive. Hum is an ancient town in the center of the Istrian Peninsula. Along the route to Hum, there's a series of ancient monuments evoking the history and the heritage of this region. Hum is the smallest town in Croatia, and perhaps all of Europe. There are just 16 homes, and getting into the village is not as easy as you might expect.
Jura! Dobro jutro!
Dobro jutro! Dobrodošli!
Hvala!
On a slight hill, there's a cemetery, unlike most that I've ever seen. In a small community, everyone knows everyone else. A lot like one big extended family. So, family photos of the dead are permanent reminders of their lives. If you visit the Istrian Peninsula, Take time to stop at home.
This entire region is a heartwarming story, overcoming adversity and rising from the ashes of war. It's a beautiful place, and you really should come to visit. And now, before we go, some words of wisdom on aging. We know we're getting older when the only thing we really want for our birthday is not to be reminded of it. I'm George Bauer.
I'm Barbara Beding. Travel well, travel safely. Do widzenia or goodbye from Croatia. See you next week.